The first chapter of the Yoga Sutras defines a specific destination. It describes yoga as the complete control of the modifications of the mind field, arriving at a state of stillness known as Samadhi. But for the ordinary practitioner, that goal feels distant. The human mind is reactive, constantly shifting in response to external stimuli, and trapped by deep-seated psychological and emotional afflictions. Patanjali addresses this gap directly in Sutra 2.2. He outlines a requirement for a specific preparatory method designed to reduce these mental afflictions and gradually induce that stillness. Before a practitioner can approach spiritual liberation, they require a grounded, actionable starting point. They need a bridge between the chaos of daily suffering and the profound quiet of the concentrated mind. That bridge is constructed at the opening of the second chapter, the Sadhana Pada. Here, in Sutra 2.1, Patanjali introduces 3 core practices. Together, they form what is called Kriya Yoga. This translates literally to the yoga of action. It is a dynamic, hands-on personal discipline, distinct from modern assumptions that reduce yoga to purely postural exercise. It is a tripartite framework designed to engage the totality of human experience. It demands physical effort, intellectual inquiry, and spiritual surrender. Kriya Yoga serves as a practical methodology to deconstruct the ego and prepare the mental vessel for the work of concentration. The first pillar of this system is tapas. In literal terms, the word means to heat, referring to the creation of a burning friction. Historically, tapas was sometimes misinterpreted as extreme physical self-torture, yet elite commentators like Swami Vivekananda noted that damaging the body does nothing to assist spiritual evolution. The true mechanism of tapas is the conscious friction that occurs when a person goes against their conditioned, comfortable habits. It is the resistance experienced when establishing physical discipline. Pushing against that inertia generates a purifying heat. This internal fire systematically burns away old behaviors and physical impurities, leaving a clearer channel within. Breaking the body's natural lethargy is a mandatory first step, but the energy generated by this physical discipline dissipates if it is not immediately directed inward. That inward turn is Svadhyaya, or self-study. It acts as the critical pivot from external physical control to internal intellectual analysis. In the ancient context, this practice involved the intense study and recitation of sacred texts. Reciting these scriptures provided a necessary anchor for the wandering mind. This serves a strict psychological function. You cannot dismantle the mind's afflictions if you do not closely observe your own cognitive patterns. Svadhyaya trains the observing mind to recognize and intercept those loops. Svadhyaya maps the mind's flaws and provides sharp intellectual clarity. However, intellect alone cannot cross the final threshold into stillness. The ego must still be addressed. This brings the system to its climax, Ishvara Pranidhana. This final pillar requires profound meditation and surrender to a supreme force. In this specific context, Ishvara is defined as a supreme consciousness, untouched by human miseries, the afflictions of the mind, or the entanglement of actions. Aligning with the broader Vedic tradition, this practice demands detaching from the ego. It requires the practitioner to surrender the fruits of their work and relinquish ownership over their actions. It is the dissolution of individual identity. The personal self merges into that vast consciousness, leaving no trace of the separate ego behind. Only through this final act of surrender can the practitioner release the heavy burden of being the doer. This completes the precise psychological preparation required by Kriya Yoga. The entire tripartite machine is engaged. Tapas breaks physical inertia, Svadhyaya provides intellectual direction, and Ishvara Pranidhana eliminates the ego. Working in unison, this system achieves the primary goal of Sutra 2.2. It initiates the thinning out of the kleshas, the deep mental afflictions. These afflictions are not destroyed instantly. Instead, their structural grip on the psyche is systematically loosened and weakened over time. This gradual thinning process is a mandatory prerequisite. Without it, the mind remains too dense to experience the quiet of samadhi. Thousands of years later, this ancient methodology remains a relevant blueprint for psychological resilience. The human condition still requires the heat of discipline to overcome inertia, the strict honesty of self-reflection to see clearly, and the ability to release attachment to outcomes that cannot be controlled. When these three actions are performed together, they systematically reduce the internal friction that otherwise prevents our realization, making the mind a more receptive ground for the work ahead. The path of preparation has been laid out, but to complete the work, the practitioner must understand the nature of the forces they are trying to thin out. Next time, Patanjali reveals the 5 kleshas,